this series, we are going through the 6 essential cocktails according to Embury's Fine Art of Mixing Drinks. This is a copy of the book. It was published in 1948. Now, the drinks in no discernible order, and I keep changing this with every single episode, so tough shit. They are the Manhattan, the Martini, the Daiquiri, the Sidecar, the Jack Rose, and the Old Fashioned. Now, what we're going to be doing today is the Daiquiri. Now, the Daiquiri is the fucking dog's bollocks of drinks out there. I fucking love the Daiquiri. It is an epic drink. It is real, what can we say? It's the Obi-Wan Kenobi of all tropical drinks. Now, unfortunately, you're also going into here, when it comes to tropical drinks, something called tiki. Now, I have been very ignorant on this, and I've been trying to do a lot more research and a lot more homework, and mainly also discussion about the term tiki. Because unfortunately, well, tiki for Polynesian and Maori people is reference to God or gods. And basically, around the 1930s, so it's been almost 100 years, well, tiki basically got taken over by white people, mainly 2 or 3 guys around the 1930s and 40s, and created this entire culture. And it's not really sort of theirs, and it's an area where I'm still learning. And I'm learning by talking to, discussing, debating, and educating myself with people who are of Polynesian descent or Maori descent, and those who are also First Nations as well, to understand the cultural implications of, well, of what's happening at the moment. So I'm going to be trying more and more to refer to this kind of drink as a tropical drink, because it really is. So here we go, the Daiquiri. Oh my God, what a fucking great drink. Okay, so what you're going to need to make a Daiquiri. Now, well, equipment-wise, knife. I have a chopping board over here, juicer, a strainer. If you really need it, but I tend not to, a fine strainer. Well, I'll keep this back under here because I don't fine strain my daiquiris. Some tins. Okay, as I told you, try and get all metal. It's a lot easier and safer. And of course, the most important thing, and I keep saying this, and I will say this again, and I will keep repeating it, jigger. Okay, a jigger. Right, so that's what you will be needing, okay, as well as glassware. Now, right, so glassware. I like using some vintage glassware or even some contemporary stuff. Now, I find these online, or actually at some thrift stores, open markets. You'll find that if you just go looking, spend the day looking, you know, it's a bit of fun. These are ranging in prices from around $25 to about $50 a glass, depending on the vintage and the supply you're getting it from. You're also going to need some sugars. So here we have plain white sugar, we have organic cane sugar, and we have some demerara sugar. And we're going to make 3 different types of daiquiris using 3 different types of the sugar, so you can see the differences, okay? And then, of course, we got rums. Now, I'm not a major fan of Bacardi, but the last drink we're going to make is one of my favorite daiquiris ever, and that is with this stuff. This is a reproduction of the 1909. It was a limited run here in Canada. Bacardi, could you please fucking bring it back? For the love of fucking God. It is so fucking good. I mean, come on. Even comes in a really cool box. Please, bring it back. Just to Canada. Everybody else, bring it to us. So on that note, if you can find a bottle of this, try and get one, because it is really that good. Right, now, standard one I use is obviously Havana. It's a Cuban style rum. It is one of the best for a good, generic, standard daiquiri. You want a little bit more fun? This is what I could get here in Canada. It's this one, nice little Blanco. It's rather good, El Dorado. And then this is rather interesting. This is a plantation. It's made up of a few different types of rums. It is rather good. The reason why I'm rather interested in it, because it's 41.2%. So as you can see with this one as well, this is at 44.5%. Now, a nice Blanco rum that's over 40% is going to add some really lovely little flavors to your daiquiri, okay? Right, so as I said about a Jesus effect, here we go. Here's a good example of a Jesus effect. Start with something a little bit more high-end maybe, or a bit more expensive if you want to in your rums, and then go on to something that's a little cheaper. Personally, you can just keep with Havana all night, okay? But please, when it comes to a daiquiri, a good classic daiquiri, please use a Blanco rum and try to get something that's a Spanish style if possible, okay? So, one thing as well, a little thing, books. Now, there's some really interesting books if you want to learn more about the daiquiri, because I'm going to do some history while we go through it. This is a great book, And a Bottle of Rum by Wayne Curtis. Great little history. You're going to learn about rum, the history of rum, and of course the daiquiri comes along. Now, when I talk about the history of some of this drink, please bear in mind, rum, the history is brutal. And I mean, it's fucking brutal. There is no other liquor in the world that has got so much blood because of the pain and suffering of people. People used to be sold, like a human being was sold for rum. Okay? And it's something you've got to accept and learn. And it's important to understand it. Another one is great little history. I love these guys. This is Anastasia Miller and Jared Barron. This is their book 2 of Spirituous Journey. But get book 1 and book 2. Okay? It spans thousands of years of history of evolution of us getting drunk. Okay? Because it's drunk history. Okay? So here we are again. So you've got the sugars, got the glassware, got the equipment, you got the rum. Now you need limes or lime juice, okay? Now, all right, if you don't have any lime and you're really fucking desperate, you can use lemons. And I have actually heard a real horror story about 100 years ago when there was a shortage of limes, that bartenders actually painted lemons green. Cheeky f***ers. You can juice your lime beforehand. If you're doing a party, it is rather a lot easier to have pre-juiced lime. However, I do also like it much more fresh, and I'll explain that later as we are making the drink. If you're going to do this, I would suggest get some friends round, get some food, basically get some nice, Caribbean cooking, mainly nibbles, get some bottles of rum, and go through the videos, not just my video, but also have a look at other people making their drinks, especially the ones on Difford's Guide. So you're looking at about 5, 6 7 different ways to make a daiquiri, and have some fun doing it. Now, I'm giving a warning here, okay? It's rum. You will have a f***ing hangover from death the next morning, all right? It will hurt, all right? I apologize now, but it's good fun. Okay, because daiquiris are great fun and they're a wonderful drink. So I'm going to start making one now because I want to have a drink while I'm doing this, because it's epic. All right, so now I'm just going to do a good bog standard simple daiquiri. All right, so very easily, just going to do a good 2 ounces of the rum. Okay. We're now going to do 3/4 of lime juice and then a simple sugar. So this sugar I turned into a 1-to-1 ratio, okay? So that's 1 part sugar, 1 part water, all right? And then I'm going to do just under a 1/2 ounce, okay? You can always add more sugar later, but I think in between the 1/4 ounce and the 1/2 ounce of sugar, just under, okay? All right? So, here we go. And of course, you need ice. Okay. Give it a good shake. Test it first. This is habit, sorry. Oh, lovely. Lovely drink. Okay. Right. Quite a lot of cocktail history is actually sort of a drunk history. So we'll start by having a few sips of this. Oh, it's lovely. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Now, The actual history of the daiquiri, there's actually quite a lot, and it actually does have quite a lot of historical evidence that can actually track its history back. Now, most people will tell you that the actual story of the daiquiri is a guy called Cox Jennings. Now, he was an American engineer that came over to Cuba after the American-Spanish War, which was around the late 1890s. And actually, that's also the beginning of the unofficial American empire. Of course, the Americans don't do empires. Yeah, everybody f***ing does. I'm an Englishman, Jesus. And basically what happened was, as an engineer working for an American iron ore company, he was stationed in a mining town called Daiquiri, just outside of Santiago de Cuba. And one of the things he got given was a really quite good deal. He got paid rather handsomely, obviously. He got a really nice house and servants and everything else. But he also got given every month cases of the local product, which was Bacardi. Now, the story goes that he that he was having a party, and obviously, you know, at this party, it was mostly gin and maybe some whiskeys and stuff like that, but he ran out. So he decided to take a risk. I thought, why not? F it. Let's utilize this rum. He knew about the rum, obviously, because a lot of his workers on site would be drinking rum with their coffee. This was in the days before, you know, basic work rules and regulations. So rum and coffee. But he realized about it and started using it. So he mixed it with a little bit of sugar, powdered sugar, and lime juice and rum. Shook it up a little, or built it in a glass, whatever, and started drinking. And he started to rather enjoy it. And then, basically, a couple of months later, I believe, the story goes that while they were at a place called the Venus Club, you know, they were all around sitting together, him and his mates, and they were like, well, we've got to name the drink. I mean, thank God they weren't that f***ed up and named it the Venus. Oh, dear God, can you imagine? We'll all be drinking Venuses right now. But what he did was they came up with the idea and just went, let's call it the daiquiri. Now, little bit of thing about that is that, yes, the daiquiri, the idea of rum, sugar, water, and citrus, well, that's sort of been around for quite a while, okay? So this is where we're going to start going into a bit more of the history of the drink. I'm just going to have a sip of this, and we'll talk a little bit more about the history. So, now we've just been talking about Cox Jennings and his story associated with the daiquiri. We'll come back to that in a minute. So first we're going to make another daiquiri. Loving this. Right, so here we go. I'm going to use this one, the Plantation. It's a little bit heavier, stronger in the flavor profiles and in alcohol strength. So please remember about the alcohol strength, you know, because the more alcohol, the more you're going to f***ing feel it, obviously. But this one we're going to do a little different. We're going to do this with the Demerara sugar. Now, there is a school of thought that you should only ever really use this sugar. Well, okay, I can understand that, but who cares? Use the sugars that you feel comfortable with and have fun with it, okay? I like turning them into a syrup because it's just a lot easier to dilute it down and to shake with. If you're going to do raw sugar, may I suggest, as you've probably watched if you haven't, my old-fashioned one, where I talk about how you use a flathead spoon, okay? And if you're doing a measure, so put the sugar in, and then I would dissolve it into the lime, okay? But I'm turning mine into a syrup. Okay, so this is a Demerara sugar, and I've made this into literally just a simple little 2-to-1 mix, okay? So that's 1 part sugar of the Demerara, okay? Right, to half the amount in the water. So let's say you do 500 mils or 500 grams of brown sugar, just put 250 mils of the water in, okay? You don't need too much. But this has got a very intense flavor, all right? And it's gonna come through in your daiquiri, okay? So what we'll do again, with this one though, I'm just gonna do 1.5 ounces of the rum, all right? You can do 2 ounces as well if you want. I'm just gonna do 1.5 ounces. Oh, baby. Oh. then I'm going to do an actual full ounce of the lime with this. As it's a richer syrup and a more concentrated flavors, I'm only going to do 1/4 ounce of the sugar, okay? Because it is rather an intense flavor, okay? It's all you need, you don't need too much. Now, you're going to notice, after you've shaken this drink, that the color is not going to be quite green. It's going to be more of a golden-ish color, okay? Baby. Ooh. Oh, that's lovely. I don't ever fine straighten my daiquiri, and I know there's some people that do and I think it is essential. It's up to you. I just love having the ice crystals in my daiquiri. All right. As you can see, the color is a lot more golden, not so much green, but that's because obviously the sugar is brown. Okay. But the flavor is still fantastic. Tastes really good. It's very enjoyable. So now we're going to do a little bit more of the history now about this wonderful drink and how it's evolved. So, just one little second. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, yeah. All right. So, the up history of drinking rum and citrus. Well, around the 16th century, there was a guy called Sir Francis Drake. Now, this is what you've got to love about history, especially about those who write it. In the 16th century, if you ever look up Sir Francis Drake, he was called as a British hero and a naval officer and everything else, yes. But to most other people in the world, he was a pirate. He was, okay? Right? So at the time, Spain and Portugal were very big superpowers. And they were controlling most of Central and South America, like literally controlling it. They just took it, all right? Now, the English were starting to build up their own little empire. Now, Sir Francis Drake was given a commission by Elizabeth I and to basically, well, get stuff for us. We need it. So he built up his fleet. And what he did was, it's really quite a smart fucker, got to hand it to him. So England tried to get gold and other precious metals and products out of South America, but it's actually quite hard to do because it's quite a hard place, big thick jungles and everything else. So the English and Sir Francis Drake went, let's try something different, shall we? So while the Portuguese and Spanish were toiling and, oh my God, the pain and suffering of getting the gold and everything out of it was brutal. Got it onto the ships, and the Spanish and the Portuguese going, yeah, oh God, we've got our stuff, we've got the gold, we've got everything. And then Sir Francis Drake came along, and he was like, right, fine, I'm going to take it from you, which he did. So he ransacked all their ships, stole it all, plundered, and took it all the way back to England again. And because of him, he had a bit of a reputation for this, and he was rather good at it. Okay, and he was actually a very smart person. Just look up the English, the Spanish Armada when they tried to invade England and didn't do a very good job. They were destroyed. Now, what happened is that there's a drink that's sort of named after him. It's called the El Drac. Now, it was a mixture of a raw sugarcane spirit, a little like rum, but more close to something called cachaça, but a raw sugarcane spirit, lemon or lime, mint, and sugars, okay, mixed together, and it's called the El Drac, all right, because, well, that was his nickname from all those people, because he was a pirate. He was a pirate, all right? He was glorified, but he was still a pirate, all right? He stole everything, and if you want to see what it looks like, just look at the Queen, because she wears it on her head. It's in the crown. It's that gold. Yep, that's where it came from. Right, then, fast forward a few years, a couple of centuries later, and around the 1740s, the Royal Navy was becoming the most powerful navy in the world. And a guy called Admiral Vernon, around the 1740s, started to dilute the rum ration that almost all Navy personnel were given. And he started diluting it down with water. And it got a nickname called Old Grog, because basically he was called Old Grog and he used to wear this waterproof outfit out of groggum. So that's where grog comes from. Okay, so you've got this now mix in 1740 of water and rum and the idea of a bit of citrus. Okay, now this came even more apparent when a guy called Cook, Captain Cook, you might have heard of him. He basically went around the world in a ship called HMS Endeavour, and what he did was he went around the world for England. And if you want to know how to get an empire, I'm going to give you a little lesson. Basic empire building 101. Have a giant fucking flag, a navy, and lots of guns. All right? That's how you do it. So what he did was, he was a scientist. He actually was trying to find new things and look and learn. But he was also financed by the British Royal Navy. So wherever he went, you know, he put his flag down and, oh, this belongs to England now. Okay, that's sort of how you do it. Doesn't matter if there's someone else there, but you got a flag, it's yours. No flag, flag. And that's how we sort of got an empire, basically. All right? Because England, well, we're a bunch of liars, cheats, and thieves. We're fucking good at it, and that's how we got half the world. But what's really amazing about this journey that HMS Endeavour did was he was one of the first people to have the idea of actually shipping citrus in his cargo, and giving rum, water, sugar, and citrus to his crew. And he also got his crew to go, when they were on the land, at ports, to eat as much fruits and citrus as they possibly can. And after that, his was the first ever journey, seafaring journey, where none of his crew got scurvy. Right? Yeah, they got other things, like, you know, venereal disease. They're sailors, but they didn't get scurvy. Okay, so by 1795, the basic rum ration for the entire British Navy was basically rum, lemon lime citrus, water, sugar. It's a fucking daiquiri, right? It's been around for a very long time. Now we're going to go back to Mr. Cox Jennings, and yes, he did. He basically named it, right? He named the drink that people have been drinking and evolving from drinking for almost 500 years, okay? And that's how you get the daiquiri, and it's a wonderful drink. So please, start enjoying it, and we're going to make one more, my favorite daiquiri. Now we're going full circle, and we've gone back to Cox Jennings, who basically named the drink the daiquiri, this whole mix of rum, lime, sugar, and water through, well, ice dilution. And really in 1909, there was an admiral of the American Navy called Lucius Johnson, who basically brought it over to the Army and Navy Club stateside, and it got incredibly popular. And it's probably where a guy who became the future president of the United States, John F. Kennedy, fell in love with the daiquiri. And in fact, he loved it so much, the rumor is that one, it was the main drink at the White House, and two, when he beat Nixon, he drank a fucking lot of them. You know, so there we go. And that's where the daiquiri came in. And it's one of these beautiful drinks. It's about this balance of having the sugar, the lime, and the rum. Now, I have made God knows how many daiquiris, especially over the last couple of years, trying to see if I can get a way to make it even better and wonderful and perfect, mainly for me and my guests. Now, generally, I use Havana as my well rum. But today, I'm going to make something a little special because, well, yes, Bacardi, please bring it back. This is a lovely, lovely, lovely Blanco rum. It really is. Okay? So, here we go. We're going to make it. Now, this is where I think things are rather important. And this is where all the elements come in. So for me, get a really good rum. I'm going to use this. I like to put a nice big off fuse measure in, so a good 2 ounces. Okay. All right. And this is really important. Yes, you can use fresh lemon juice. It's a lot easier. Fresh lime juice, you can use it. It's a lot easier, of course. But for me, it's all about using fresh lime. Okay? Fresh, like, try and use it within a couple of days. Okay? All right? So chop the ends off to make it a little easier. I use a nice full ounce of fresh lime juice, and the reason why I squeeze it in and use fresh lime juice is because in here you've got these lovely oils in the skin, okay? And this is really important to the drink, all right? So let's squeeze that in there. All right. Now, sugar. Showing you how to use this kind of sugar, a simple 1-to-1 and the Demerara. However, I like to use a raw sugarcane syrup. I do a 2-to-1 ratio, and you'll see it on a TikTok video on how I make it, because this is my little workhorse syrup. This makes all the difference, especially in a daiquiri. So fresh lime juice, get the lovely oils from the skin as well going into the drink. A good, decent rum. So I actually prefer to use these two as much as I can. This, unfortunately, is my last bottle, so please don't ask for it all the time at my bar if you're ever here. But my main one is this one. But I still do fresh lime juice, like literally fresh lime juice with those lovely oils coming in, and now the sugar. Now, so I put an ounce of the lime in here, and I want to do just under, literally a hair's breadth, under half an ounce of my 2-to-1 raw cane syrup, okay? Then, now I'm going to add ice. Give it some f***ing welly. Strain it in. And here we go. Oh my God. Me, it's so good. So there we go. So hopefully you've learned how to make a daiquiri and how if you want to be an empire builder. So there you go. Get a giant flag. You'll take over the world. Thank you. Now off and get home safe. Thank you. I'm gonna drink this. So good. I'll buy 2 cases. At least that's all I can afford. I'm a small bar. But just bring it back. For fuck's sake, for the love of God, bring this back. Oh my God, it's so good. This is probably one of the most beautiful Blanco rums I've ever had in my fucking life, you motherfuckers. Please, bring this back.